Assalam-o-Alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is the fourth video of Tasheel Un Nahw, where we are going to learn about Wahid Tasniya and Jama. And the Wahid Tasniya Jama chapter is already mentioned in our book in section number 3.5. But right now, as following the similar earlier pattern, we are not going to learn anything from the book right now. Like, we are going to learn about Wahid Tasniya and Jama, but right now not from the book. Why? Because before section 3 there are few more chapters and sections are left to complete. So what we are going to do now, first we are going to learn about the basics of Wahid Tasniya Jama on our board, and once you are able to understand or become familiar with few of the concept of Wahid Tasniya and Jama, then we will come back to this book and we'll read from the book and we'll try to explain anything which is written in the book, a new topic or a new concept of Wahid Tasniya and Jama. Right now I'm going to explain you Wahid Tasniya Jama by following the similar earlier pattern on which we were studying. Today we are going to learn about Wahid Tasniya and Jama. What is Wahid Tasniya and Jama? I told you in the earlier class that ism are divided into 5 types based on their own attributes, like based on gender, based on quality, based on quantity, or based on origin, based on proper and common. So today in this lesson, Wahid Tasniya Jama, we are going to learn about types of ism based on quantity. Types of ism based on quantity, where Wahid means single, Tasniya means dual, and Jama means more than 2, or simply you can say plural, but right now we're going to understand by this more than 2. Now, what are we going to learn in this lesson? In this lesson we are going to learn about how to call Wahid Tasniya or Jama word, how to recognize them, and what are the method of creating the Wahid Tasniya or Jama word. First, understand Wahid means single, which means if you want to say one man, simply you can say Rajulun. Rajulun also means one man. Why one man? Because Rajulun is a single word. In Tasniya, when we say Rajulani, which is a Tasniya word, don't worry about right now how I made Tasniya, I'm going to explain. Right now I'm only explaining you the term Wahid Tasniya and Jama and what does it mean. Rajulani means 2 men. So when you want to say 2 men, you only have to say Rajulani in Arabic. Now, if you want to say more than 2 men, you can say Rijalun, which is the plural of or Jama of Rajulun. Rijalun means more men. Now in Arabic, There is another concept of telling the same thing. Like if you want to say one man, there is another concept in Arabic to say, like I can say rajulun wahidun. Wahidun means one, so it become one man. For two men I can say rajulani ithnani, two men. And for more men, like for example I want to say three men, we can say salasatu rijalin, it means three men. Then what are the difference between the jama and the by calling rijalun or salasatu rijalin? Like they both are used to say more than two, but what are the difference? If you look closely, you can easily able to find the difference. When I am using word rijalun, rijalun does mean more than two, but we do not have a specific number, like more than two, how many? 5, 10, 15, infinite, thousand, millions, how many men? We do not have any information about that. But when we are saying salasatu rijalin, it means three men. So here salasatu means three, which gives a specific number that yes, we mean more than two, but it should be only three, not four, not five. So there are two ways in Arabic to say anything by its number. Either use the concept of Wahid Tasniya Jama, or use the Arabic numbers to tell the quantity of any noun or any ism. We can choose, but it does not mean that you can just use anywhere the Arabic number or the Wahid Tasniya Jama concept. No. If we have given a specific number, or if we are about to tell the specific number of any ism, we have to use the Arabic number, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 men, 10 men, or 12 women, like this. But if we have not given any specific number, we meant to say only that there are more men. Then on that time we have to use the concept of jama. We have to use rijalun, not using the Arabic number systems like 5 men or 10 men. So that's the difference between using the Wahid Jama to call more than two, or using the number to give the exact meaning. Because there is a very huge difference. When we have a specific number, we use the Jama with a specific number. When we do not have any specific number, we can simply use Jama. It's okay if you are not able to understand this concept right now, or maybe I'm not able to explain it clearly because of my weak English. But still, right now, you can just stay here on the basic information about Wahid Tasniya Jama is that Wahid means one, Tasniya means two, and Jama means more than two without any specification. It can be three or it can be infinite number. Now, we are going to learn the second thing related to Wahid Tasniya Jama, rules of making Wahid. So, in a single word we can say there are no rules. We have to memorize it. There are no rules to create Wahid word or to recognize the Wahid word. You simply have to memorize it by heart. That's the easiest way anyone can able to understand and find the Wahid word. Because in reality there are no actual rule to create the Wahid word. If Wahid word is written, you have to memorize it, you have to look for the translation and see whether this word is Wahid or not. So when we are talking about the rules of Wahid, there are no rules, we have to memorize it. No rule to create a Wahid word. Also, there are no rules to recognize the Wahid word. For example, if I am writing here Rajulun as a Wahid word, Kitabun as a Wahid word, and Qalamun as a Wahid word, Muslimun as a Wahid word, Muslimatun, one female, Muslim female. All these words are Wahid. How? Because I am telling you, and how I know? Because I memorize all these words by heart and I know that these words are Wahid. That's how you will also able to understand, able to memorize all these words. Now the main question rises here, do we have to give a separate time to memorize all these Wahid words, because there is a huge collection of Wahid word in Arabic language? So no, it does not require. Simply we are going to use all these examples again and again and multiple times in our lessons, that the meanings of all these Wahid words will be already clear in your mind, even without any single effort you made to memorize all these words. Now let's go back to the rules of Tasniya. So yes, there are rules to make Tasniya. There are rules to make Tasniya. Also, there is a rule to create Tasniya, and if there is a rule to create Tasniya, then by knowing that rule, one may able to understand and recognize the Tasniya word too. So it means there are rules to create Tasniya as well as to find Tasniya. Now the question is, what is the rule? The rule is add alif noon in the ending of Wahid word to create Tasniya, and before alif the fatha zabar is must or necessary. Whenever we are adding alif noon, on noon it will be kasra, that's the fixed i'rab of noon, and before alif there must be a fatha on it. Also the second is either add ya noon, where noon is having kasra and before ya there must be fatha. Let's understand this with example. Suppose this is a rajulun word, and now we want to create this, we want to convert this rajulun into tasniya. So rajulun is a wahid word, we know that. So we are going to convert this rajulun into tasniya. One thing which we have to remember right now, very important to understand, tasniya can be only made from wahid word. You cannot create tasniya from jama word. It's not possible. If there is a jama word and someone tell you to convert this in tasniya, then you must know the wahid format of that word, because tasniya is only created from wahid. So for making the tasniya, one should know the wahid format or the wahid of that word. So now rajulun is a wahid word. How I know this? Because I memorize it. So rajulun is a wahid word, and now we are going to make this a tasniya. So how? First add alif and noon having zair on it, and before alif add fatha. When you add fatha, so we have to add this alif noon with rajulun, the ending of rajulun. So what is the ending of rajulun? That's lam. So remove the tanween from lam, and now see, here you go. Here is your rajulani. So from rajulun it become rajulani. Again another example with yanun, ra, jim, lam, lam having fatha, ya having sukoon, and noon, rajulaini. So from rajulun tasniya becomes rajulani or rajulaini. Again take example of muslim, so muslimani or muslimaini. Another example, muslimatun, muslimatani or muslimatani. taini. Now I hope you understand the method of making tasniya, but there is a one question: when to use alif noon to make tasniya or ya noon? Is it our preference to choose whether you want to choose alif noon or ya noon, or there is a specific rule where we can use alif noon to make tasniya or where we can use ya noon to make tasniya? So yes, there is a rule. There is a place where tasniya can be created by alif noon, and there is a place and condition where tasniya is only created by ya noon. We cannot just create tasniya with alif noon or ya noon by our own. We have to look for the reason. If the reason is found, if the condition is met, we will use alif noon, and if the condition of ya noon is met, we have to use ya noon to create tasniya. Now the question is, what are the reason, what are the condition, how one may know whether they use alif noon for tasniya or ya noon? As a beginner, I am assuming you all as a beginners. So right now I can simply just say that you don't have to worry about it right now. I'm going to explain you when I will be teaching you the Arab chapter. I will be explaining everything inshallah right there, that how we can to use alif noon and when to use alif noon and ya noon. But if some of you are already familiar with the concept and the conditions where to use tasniya with alif noon and ya noon, so I'm going to explain for those students. So if you are a beginner and you are not able to understand this at all right now, from I'm going to tell you the detail. So for the next few minutes, if you are a beginner and you are not able to understand what I am telling you, it's okay, you can simply skip this part. And if you are not a beginner, you have already understand the Arab and the state of Arabic state or the nature of the word, then you may continue with this my next few minute explanation, and it will become easy for you to understand. So remember, see, in Arabic language there are three types of Arab: Zamma, Fatha and Kasra. But if you look on these Arab, you will see the same word Rajul has three different Arab. Rajulun, the example with Zamma. Rajulun, example with Fatha. And Rajul word with Arab Kasra. Same word with three different Arab. Can we put these Arab on our own choice? Can we just simply put Zamma on Rajulun sometime and Fatha on sometime or Kasra sometimes as per our own choice? No. In Arabic language, if there is a Arab on any word, there must be a reason, there must be some word which is responsible for giving the Arab, a specific Arab to that word. For example, I told you in the beginning, in the first lesson, about harf-e-jar. If there is a harf-e-jar, so harf-e-jar is actually responsible for converting the Arab of any word to kasra. So when here on Rajul, the Arab is kasra, Arab is zair. So can we say that the Rajul is having kasra is by its own choice? There is no reason for that. No, this is wrong. Why? Because we know that Allah is harf-e-jar, which is responsible for changing the Arab of Rajul to kasra only. In the similar way, there are few other harf also, or other words also, which are responsible for providing Zamma or Fatha on any word. Similarly, likely harf-e-jar. Harf-e-jar is responsible for providing kasra to any word. There are few other harfs which are responsible for providing the Fatha, or other are which are responsible for providing Zamma on it. So what we should remember from all these explanation, that if there is a i'rab on any word, that i'rab must have a reason, because without reason there are no i'rab. So every word, if it having zamma, fatha or kasra, there must be a reason behind that word which is responsible to change the i'rab of that word to zamma, fatha or kasra. Now, when we use rajulani or rajulaini as a tasniya, you will see we cannot add zamma on rajulani or kasra on rajulani or fatha on rajulani. Why? Why we cannot add? There is already a kasra on noon. Remember, alif noon is the sign of tasniya. Alif noon is not a i'rab. It's a sign of tasniya. Like if you want to make tasniya, you have to add alif noon and the noon will have kasra on it. It's a fix. So if you are writing rajulun, the i'rab is clearly visible and shown in the word. And why the knowing the i'rab is important? Because the translation depends on the i'rab. What i'rab you put on any word define its translation. The same word with a different i'rab can have a different meaning in the context. So the rajulun, let me give you the example to make you understand clearly. When I am saying nasara zaidun, here zaidun having zamma on it, or let's have example of rajulun. Nasara rajulun, here rajulun is having zamma on it. It means here the man helps. Okay, but now if I am saying nasartu rajulan, i'rab is changed. Same word but i'rab is changed. Now the i'rab of rajulun is fatha. Now here the translation is I helped man. Now here the man is no longer helper, unlikely to the first statement where nasara rajulun, where man was the helper. Now in the second sentence, when the i'rab is changed, the meaning of rajul is here changed. He is no longer the helper, but he is the person who is being helped by me. So that's how the i'rab changes the meaning of any word in its context. So it is very important to understand the i'rab and the reason behind it. So now the question arises here. If you are writing rajulani, rajulani word doesn't have zamma on it, pesh on it. How can we able to understand and translate it clearly? Because as we understood clearly that the translation of any word is totally depends on its i'rab. So the rajulani doesn't have any i'rab visible in it. Alif noon with kasra is not a i'rab, it's a sign. So we still need a i'rab, or at least any hint which tell us that what are the i'rab rajulani follows. So now remember, when you want to give zamma to any tasniya word, you will add alif noon. You will create that tasniya with alif noon. So the alif noon sign tell us about the Arabic state of that word. So when I am writing rajulani, it means here rajulani is having zamma on it, pesh on it. So when you are saying nasara rajulani, it means here two man helps, because rajulani means two man. So here the rajulani is helper. How we understand this? Because we know the alif noon sign is a sign of tasniya, but it also tell us the actual Arabic state of that word, that this word is having zamma on it. Now if I say the same word nasartu rajulaini with yanun. Now here the rajulaini is no longer the helper. Here the translation is nasartu rajulaini, means I helped the two men. Now here the rajulaini is no longer the helper. Why we are saying that? Because the i'rab of rajulaini is i'rab of rajulani tasniya word is changed to rajulaini. So this ya noon is actually telling us that this word tasniya is in halate raf'i state. Sorry, in halate nasbi. Halate nasbi means when it having fatha on it, zamma on it. So rajulaini holds the same i'rab that rajulan hold, that is fatha. Similarly, if you add ala harfe jar on rajulun, its i'rab converted to rajulin. But if you add ala on tasniya word, its i'rab will be with rajulaini. Why with yanun? Because here the yanun tell us that this word is in this word having kasra. So I hope you understand when to make tasniya with alif noon and when to make tasniya with yanun. So remember, when you want to put pesh i'rab on tasniya, you will create a tasniya with alif noon, and when you want to make put i'rab of fatha or kasra, zabar or zair on tasniya, you will create tasniya with yanun. Again the question rise here, how we will able to know, how we know that what kind of i'rab we should put on tasniya, either alif noon or ya noon or any word like zabar zair or pesh. How one should know? One will know. The answer is, you will know. Just wait, have patience. I'm going to explain you everything in the upcoming lessons, inshallah. Now the second question is, for zamma, for pesh, tasniya is created by using alif noon, but for zabar and zair, tasniya is made by ya noon. So still there is a confusion, like if the tasniya is created by ya noon, one can still get confused whether this word is having fatha or kasra. So here, how one can able to distinguish whether this word is having fatha or kasra, this tasniya word is having fatha or kasra, is very easy actually. How? We know if just look for the word just before that tasniya word. If there is a ala harf jar or it is muzaf ilay, that word is having kasra, because harf jar and muzaf ilay, these are the two reasons for any word having kasra in Arabic language. So just look for the previous word. If that word is muzaf or having harf jar, then here the tasniya with yanun is in the state where it has zair on it. And if you look, check the previous word and there is no muzaf or harf jar, then here that word tasniya is in halate nasbi state. Let me also explain you what is halate nasbi, because we are going to use this again and again. Halat nasbi means a word in such a state where it should have fatha on it, zabar on it. And halat raf'i means a word is in a state where it should have zamma on it, in a place where it should have zamma on it. And in halate jarri, what is halate jarri? Halate jarri means a word in a condition or a place where it should have kasra on it. So if I am saying here rajulin, so you can say rajulin is in halate jarri state. When I am saying rajulun, you can say rajulun is in halate rafi state. And if I am saying rajulan, you can say rajulan here is in halate nasabi state. So whenever tasniya is in halate jarri state, there must be a reason who give it that tasniya word zair, and there are only two reasons. Let me give you the example to make this understand. I am adding ala harf jar on wahid word, that is rajulin. Now again ala on tasniya word. So here the tasniya will be created by rajulaini with yanun, because it is in halate jarri state. Now here again I'm writing rajulun with pesh. So if we are writing rajulun with zamma, that is in halat rafi state. Now I'm writing tasniya word in halat rafi state. So that is alif noon, rajulani. Now if I'm writing the rajulan wahid word in halat nasbi state, for tasniya we have to add yanun in halat nasbi state. So this rajulani is in halat raf'i state. This rajulaini and this rajulaini are in halat nasbi and jarri state respectively. So I hope you understand where to add alif noon and yanun. Allah. Now let's come back to our main chapter. So these are the rules for tasniya. Now let's learn about the rules for jama. Rules for jama. Now rules for jama. Before learning the rules of jama, we have to understand that there are two types of jama. One is called jama mukassar and another one is jama salim. Okay, so what is jama mukassar? Are those jama who doesn't have any rule to create or recognize. Jama mukassar are those jama which do not have any rules or sign to recognize or create these jama. These jama are very similar to wahid, where we have to memorize and remember by heart. There are no other way to understand or create or recognize these jama. For example, if I am saying the jama of rajulun, rajulun is a wahid word, which jama is rijal, which means more than two men, or the qalam is a wahid word, which means one pen, and jama is aqlamun, or kitabun is a wahid word, which means one book, and which jama is kutubun. So all these are the jama which are jama mukassar. And how I know all the jama of these words? Simply I memorized all those jama, because there is no any other way to create jama mukassar. So jama are of two types. One is jama mukassar, which does not have any rule. We have to memorize it by heart. And another one is jama salim. Jama salim does have some rule. Some rule to create. But jama salim are of two types. One is jama muzakkar salim for muzakkar word, and another one is jama muannas salim for muannas word. Rule for creating jama salim from muzakkar word is add waw noon, noon having fatha, or ya noon, noon having fatha on any wahid word. For example, if Muslim is a wahid and we want to create jama, we will add waw noon in the ending and it will become muslimuna, more than two Muslims. or muslimina, more than 2 Muslims. So this is Jama Muzakkar Salim with waun or yan. Again, the question is when to create Jama Muzakkar Salim with waun or yan. So simply remember, in halat raf'i we have to create Jama with waun when you want to add pesh on Jama. For reference I have written the Wahid format. In halat nasabi and jarri add yan. Muslimina, for reference I am writing the Wahid format, musliman or muslimin. Now for Jama Muannas Salim. Jama Muannas Salim, add alif ta in the ending. For example, muslimatun is a Jama, and if you want to make Jama Muannas Muslimatun is a single word, Wahid word. We want to say more than 2 Muslim women. Simply first remove the ta from the ending, this ta, and after meme add alif or ta. Muslimatun. Muslimatun means more than 2 Muslims. Now the one question rise here is that how one can able to understand that which Jama comes or falls in the category of Jama Mukassar or Jama Salim. For example, there is a word written, for reference let me write here. For instance, say Baitun. Baitun is a Wahid word. For Tasniya it's okay, we can say Baitani or Baitaini. But if we want to make Jama, we want to say more than 2 house. Now they have the question rise whether this Jama can we make Jama like this one, Baituna or Baitina. So no. Why? Because the rule for Jama Mukassar and Jama Salim is fixed. Any word which Jama falls under the category of Jama Mukassar, its Jama Salim will not be possible or not available. And if there is a word which Jama falls in the category of Jama Salim, then for the same word Jama Mukassar is not available. Let me give you the example properly. Let me make a table to make you understand properly. Let's say that this is a Wahid table, this is Tasniya, this is Jama Mukassar, this is Muzakkar Salim, and this is Muannas Salim. Now let's take example of Rajulun first. Rajulun is a Wahid word which Jama is Rajulani or Rajulaini. The Jama Mukassar of Rajulun is Rijalun, and if the Jama of Rajulun falls under the category of Jama Mukassar, it means Jama Salim is not available for this word. Another example, Muslimun. Tasniya of Muslim is Muslimani or Muslimaini. Jama Mukassar is not available for Muslim, it's Muzakkar Salim, so Muslimuna or Muslimina. Now you may be wondering that the Tasniya also have noon and Jama Muzakkar also have noon. So how can we able to distinguish between the noon of Jama or Tasniya? It's easy. The noon of Tasniya having kasra on it, while the noon of Jama is having fatha on it. Now let's have another example. Let's say I'm saying mu'minatun. Mu'minatun means one Muslim believer, woman. Tasniya is mu'minatani or mu'minataini. Jama mukassar is not available. This is muannas word, so Jama muzakkar salim is also not available for this one. And the Jama muannas salim is mu'minatun with alif. Now the question is, how can we able to understand whether this word has the Jama muzakkar, mukassar or salim? So we cannot understand, we have to memorize it. After gaining a lot of experience, you will be able to understand this very easily. There is no much trouble in understanding this one. So that's in Jama Wahid Tasniya Jama chapter. Inshallah, tomorrow I will be teaching you Arab and then Marifa, the rest few left chapter of Marifa Nakera, like Ism Ishara, Ism Mawsul, Zamir, and then I will be solving Murakkab al-Tawsifi, inshallah, and then we will go back to the book and read from the book, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.